Hello, so today I'm going to do a quick video kind of outlining how I show somebody how to do a proper squat, sort of the cues that I give, some of the easy little tips and tricks to get the most bang for your buck with the squat. The squat is great because it's a compound exercise, so it's working several muscle groups. It's a multiple joint movement, so you're working force across multiple joints. And that's one of the reasons so many muscle groups are involved. It's pretty much a total body exercise. Body weight squats are a great way to warm up, especially if you're going to be implementing some load. So if you're adding weight to your squat, you always want to start with some variation, warm up with a body weight squat, and I'll show you how to do both with weight. I'll do a goblet squat variation. I'll do a couple variations, but I'll give you the cues and the tips that I usually give to people when I first start training them and first start showing them the hip hinge and the squat variation. So the first thing to remember when it comes to the squat variation is I usually start bottom up. Some coaches start top down, and that's totally fine too. The thing is, I like starting from the bottom and then working my way up because for me it starts with my feet, it starts with where I'm standing. So I always tell people to find their power position. And so what is that? So the power position is going to be if you were going to jump as high as you possibly could from a dead stop on the floor, where would your feet be? That's usually like the first instinct that you have, that's your power position. And usually for most people, it's going to be about hip width apart or shoulder width apart. Some people need to go wider than that, that's totally fine. Everybody's got different hip flexors and different hip anatomy. But most of the time, people are going to be able to be really comfortable in this hip width stance to start. So that's the first thing you want to do. The second thing, if you'll see me from horizontal plane, let's move this down just so you can see my lower half. So the next thing you'll see, or the next thing that I tell people about, kind of instruct them, is to focus on not just the power position where their feet are, but now we're thinking we want to square up our feet. So we don't necessarily want to have one foot in front of the other, okay? Because that's going to change where our hips go when we start descending into the movement. So we want to square our feet up. So first things first, we're going to have a nice, tall, proud posture. Maintain that brace core, so think rib to hip, really squeeze your abs. I don't know if you can see my abs there. So we're gonna squeeze our core, so we're maintaining that, what they call the canister position, okay? And then we can start hinging at the hips. So you wanna think hips first, we're pushing our hips back towards the wall behind us. So we're pushing our hips back, and then the knees will soften. So it's almost like you're sitting on an invisible chair. Maintaining that brace core throughout the entire time, keeping our feet firmly planted on the floor. And then we're just gonna come down as low as we comfortably can, maintaining that brace core. And at some point, it's gonna stop you. So maintaining that brace core, at some point, it's going to stop you. So we wanna try to keep our chest up. We're trying to round the mid-back, the thoracic spine. I wanna try to keep that proud chest up, maintain that brace core, and then we'll stand up. So ideally, we're trying to get to parallel. If you can go a little bit beyond parallel, that's fine too. You may need to push your knees out. You don't necessarily have to actively push your knees out. You just want to make sure your knees are tracking with the toes, tracking with the feet. If you need a little bit more room with the ankles, you can turn your feet out a little bit, just a slight angle, whatever feels comfortable, because every squat's going to be different. It should be different for every single individual because everybody's got slightly different anatomy. Some people are going to squat easier than others, okay? So then standing out of that squat, you want to try to put an emphasis on the back of your foot, because most of the time people, what they'll do is they kind of refer to the front of their feet, and that may be because the knees are shooting out in front of their feet first. Remember, hips first, then knees. Maintain that flat footing, and then once you get down to the bottom, as low as you can go, as low as you can comfortably go, and you can throw your hands out in front, and that will act as a counterbalance, and just stand up. Okay, so that's the squat variation. Usually when I'm doing bodyweight squats, I'm going to outstretch my hands just to maintain that proud posture, but also that spine neutrality. Okay, so from the next variation, the next way to make it harder, and if you're warming up, I would just do sets of anywhere between 6 and 10. So now we've got a goblet squat. So this up really fast. Okay, so we're doing the goblet squat. We've literally got the weight positioned on our palms, so it's not going anywhere. And you want to literally rest it on your chest, okay, to start especially, okay? So this does a couple things. Forces our core to engage, and it just adds a little bit more weight, so it makes the movement a little bit more challenging. Same rules apply though. When you start, maintain that brace core, really tighten that belly, think rib to hip, canister position. We're gonna do hips first. We've got to make sure our feet are lined up the way we want them to. And then we're pushing our hips back, and then we're just descending into the movement. So your elbows are gonna flare a little bit. Your elbows can meet the knees, or they can go inside the knees, depending on how wide your stance is. I'll do a couple so you can see my lower half. So we're starting the weight up. I want to try not to brace, or not brace, but we don't necessarily want to extend the lower back either, okay? So just maintain that rib to hip posture, that brace core, pushing our hips back, and then we'll ascend. So we're coming down, keeping that brace core, coming down as low as we comfortably can, without letting it round us forward. We're really maintaining that proud posture, just sitting down, sinking into the movement, and then driving through the heels. Coming down, sinking through the heels. So we want to focus on the heels at first, but eventually I want you to work on pushing through the entire foot, okay? So they call it the tripod foot. You can think of it from here to here, to the outside, both front of the feet, the widest areas, and then the heel. You want to push evenly through all of those points. But put an emphasis on the heel when you start, just so we can get used to pushing through our heel and activating that posterior chain. We're going to exhale on the way up, inhale on the way down, maintaining that brace core throughout the entirety of the movement. All right. And that is how I teach people to squat. Have a great day. Bye.